the world is teetering on the edge of an unprecedented financial crisis, and by 2025, entire nations risk plunging into economic ruin. But this isn't just a story of bad policies or global recessions. It's a dark tale of crime, corruption, and systemic rot. From drug cartels laundering billions to politicians looting national treasuries, criminal enterprises are accelerating the downfall of vulnerable economies. In this explosive breakdown, we're exposing the 10 countries hurtling toward bankruptcy, where shadowy networks and illicit activities are strangling hope for recovery. Buckle up. The road to economic hell is paved with greed, violence, and desperation. Number 1, Venezuela. Venezuela's collapse is no accident. Once Latin America's wealthiest nation, its economy has been gutted by hyperinflation, U.S. sanctions, and a kleptocratic regime. But the real engine of its demise? A government deeply entwined with drug trafficking. High-ranking officials, including those close to President Maduro, have been accused of collaborating with Colombian cartels to smuggle cocaine through ports and airports. The Central Bank of Venezuela is now a shell, its gold reserves looted or seized by foreign creditors. As the bolivar becomes worthless, gangs and paramilitary groups control swaths of territory, trading food for guns and exploiting oil smuggling networks. By 2025, Venezuela's debt will exceed $200 billion. But its real crisis is a criminal ecosystem so entrenched that recovery is nearly impossible. Number 2, Lebanon. In 2020, Lebanon defaulted on its debt for the first time in history. But the roots of its disaster trace back to a Ponzi scheme orchestrated by its central bank. For decades, the government lured foreign investors and diaspora remittances with sky-high interest rates, only to funnel the money into corrupt real estate deals and militia budgets. Meanwhile, Hezbollah's grip on the economy has turned Lebanon into a hub for money laundering and illicit arms trades. The 2020 Beirut port explosion, linked to negligent officials storing ammonium nitrate for criminal networks, symbolized the state's decay. By 2025, Lebanon's currency will have lost 98% of its value, and its youth will either flee or join gangs fighting over scraps. Number 3, Zimbabwe. Robert Mugabe's land reforms in the 2000s didn't just crash Zimbabwe's agriculture. They unleashed a mafia-style looting spree. Today, President Mnangagwa's regime is accused of smuggling diamonds, gold, and ivory to evade sanctions. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe prints money to fund patronage networks, causing inflation to soar past 500%. Meanwhile, Chinese mining corporations exploit illegal deals with officials, stripping resources without oversight. By 2025, Zimbabwe's debt-to-GDP ratio will hit 400%. But the bigger threat is a criminal underclass running everything from ransomware scams to human trafficking rings. Number 4, Argentina. Argentina has defaulted 9 times since independence, but 2025's crisis will be different. This time, the country's $323 billion debt is entangled with organized crime. Cocaine traffickers in Rosario and Buenos Aires launder drug money through soy exports and cryptocurrency, while politicians turn a blind eye in exchange for campaign funding. The peso's freefall has made Argentina a paradise for black market dollar traders, many linked to triad and mafia groups. Even the IMF's bailout cash vanishes into offshore accounts. With poverty at 50%, cartels recruit children as hitmen, ensuring the economy's death spiral fuels a parallel underworld economy. Number 5, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's 2022 bankruptcy was just the beginning. Rampant corruption under the Rajapaksa family saw billions borrowed for vanity projects, like a deserted airport, vanish into private coffers. Now, the island nation is becoming a hotspot for maritime piracy and human trafficking. Desperate fishermen collaborate with Somali pirates to hijack cargo ships, while Chinese loans for port infrastructure have morphed into debt-trap diplomacy. By 2025, Sri Lanka's inability to repay $50 billion in foreign debt could turn its waters into a battleground for rival gangs and foreign powers. Number 6. Pakistan. Pakistan's economy is buckling under the weight of its military's double game. While begging the IMF for bailouts, the government quietly funds militant proxies in Kashmir and Afghanistan, draining billions from public coffers. Meanwhile, Karachi's criminal underworld, a mix of Taliban sympathizers and corrupt businessmen, controls smuggling routes for Afghan heroin, which floods Europe via Pakistani ports. The rupee's collapse has sparked riots, but the real danger lies in the nexus between ISI intelligence agencies and terror financiers. By 2025, Pakistan's debt could hit $400 billion, with crime syndicates effectively running a shadow government. Number 7. Sudan. Sudan's $60 billion debt is a relic of Omar al-Bashir's brutal regime, but its current leaders are just as crooked. The military junta sells gold reserves to Russian Wagner mercenaries in exchange for political protection, while Arab militias ethnically cleanse Darfur to control mineral-rich land. Inflation exceeds 300%, and Khartoum's streets are ruled by paramilitary rapid support forces, who traffic migrants to Libya and steal humanitarian aid. By 2025, Sudan's economy will exist only to fund warlords, with foreign loans propping up a corpse of a state. Number 8. Ecuador. Ecuador was once peaceful, but now it's South America's newest narco-state. Mexican cartels have turned its ports into cocaine highways, assassinating politicians who resist. President Noboa's war on gangs is a facade. The army is outgunned, and the economy is propped up by money laundering through shrimp farms and banana exports. The U.S. dollarized Ecuador's economy in 2000, but that hasn't stopped hyperinflation in all but name. By 2025, Quito could lose control of prisons and cities to gangs like Los Choneros, making Ecuador a failed state with a GDP in freefall. Number 9. Iraq. Iraq has the world's 5th largest oil reserves, but since 2003, $355 billion in oil revenues have been stolen by politicians and Iranian-backed militias. The Iraqi central bank is a money laundering hub for ISIS remnants and Tehran proxies, and contractors bribe officials for bogus reconstruction projects. With oil prices volatile, Iraq's budget deficit could exceed 40% by 2025, and warlords are turning the country into a wasteland ruled by auctioning off ancient artifacts to fund their own property. Number 10. Belarus. Belarus isn't just Putin's puppet, it's a kleptocracy on the brink. Sanctions over Lukashenko's tyranny and complicity in Russia's Ukraine war have crippled exports. But the real crisis is a shadow economy run by KGB elites, trafficking weapons, timber, and migrants to the EU. The ruble's devaluation has wiped out savings, forcing citizens into smuggling or prostitution. By 2025, Belarus's debt-to-GDP ratio will hit 250%, but Lukashenko's regime will cling to power by selling sovereignty to Moscow, and the highest bidder. The line between government and organized crime has vanished in these nations. As they hurtle toward bankruptcy, their death throes will unleash waves of refugees, global market shocks, and unprecedented security threats. But this isn't just a warning, it's a wake-up call. For every dollar laundered or politician bribed, the world's financial system becomes more unstable. By 2025, the crimes fueling these collapses could be your problem. Stay vigilant and stay tuned.